Let's talk bubble. So the bubble has been going on, of course, since July 30th, that Thursday. And on the last show where Jimmy was tested positive for not having a job, I dove in on a solo endeavor and kind of talked a little bit more about the more of the elements, some of the things that really jumped out to me that I felt like were worth talking about. And so those 4 elements were key to me on what we've been watching as far as the product goes. The product itself has not been bad. It's actually been pretty good. And I like the little details they put in to try to make it feel like it was actually a home arena or a home crowd or just a home feeling in general. So I have no beef with it, of course, outside of that portion of it. I mean, some of it's corny, but at the same time, it's just the little details. And I appreciate the fact that they thought about it. And so I kind of went in on the things I liked and didn't like. So if you want to listen to that, you can definitely check it out on the podcast, as well as I'll have it linked here in the YouTube channel. You can go back to that portion of the episode. But it was, I have to now I want to dive into the games themselves and talk about just the performances and the way it's looking. And like I mentioned before, games are kind of sloppy. But you cannot expect that. Guys haven't really built much chemistry over the last, 3 months, because we were shut down in March. Now we're in August. So, yeah, you can expect there to be a gap in a 3 to 4 month period of no basketball. It could throw you off. But some teams are looking a lot better than others. And I'm sensing that these teams actually were practicing together a lot more during the pandemic than others were, which is not a bad thing. I think that's actually a really good thing. It's good to see that teams were able to find ways to get everybody together. Like, I know the Thunder definitely did some things, and it looks like the Phoenix Suns did some things similar to the Indiana Pacers, because they're all doing pretty solid here in the bubble record-wise, while a lot of your heavier hitters, they're looking like they're just disheveled. But before I jump into that, since that's the whole purpose of you guys being here, is really hear about me talk about the game, talk about the sports and everything. I don't like to get too political, but I want to kind of jump into that first. I have one question for the NBA with everything that's going on. I mean, I appreciate the social justice movements that they're doing, the names on the jerseys and all of that stuff. But I'm trying to get a better understanding of the demonstration they're doing pregame, which is the kneeling international anthem. This is no longer a protest. This is more of a demonstration, because there aren't no fans in Orlando. So I'm actually curious to know, is why are we even doing the national anthem at all? Why is it even being televised? Why are we even talking about it? Like, why are we doing it? It's like, so what's the point? What's the purpose? I feel like there has to be an end game to this for them to be doing this every game and showing it and televising it, showing the players kneeling and stuff. Because, of course, you've got the opposition, you've got the fans, you've got sponsors, you got all these people that are probably pissed off by it. And a lot of these teams, I can guarantee that every single team had at least one sponsor pissed off from it that's in the bubble. So I want to better understand, why are we doing it? Because, I mean, as far as the national anthem goes itself, I've always questioned why we even doing it in sports in general outside of the Olympics. Because if you really think about it, everyone in the arena, the playing field or whatnot, represent the city that they're playing for, which are all American cities outside of the Toronto Raptors. So what's the point of us actually doing the national anthem when we're playing against each other? I mean, is it a sign of patriotism? Because to me, it's not. It's not if it's manufactured and it's for American teams. The Olympics, yes, we definitely need to be doing the national anthem during the Olympics. Or any sport where we're competing against other countries, where we're representing our country, yes, do it that way. But why are we here? What's the point? I just feel like we're wasting our time doing the national anthem and having this conversation over and over and over again, when we can continue to demonstrate but just not show the national anthem. I don't know. I think it's just me. I could be off base, but that's my thoughts behind that. So from there, let's dive into some of these games. So they've been a lot closer than expected. I've had some appreciation in a lot of these games. There's been a lot of overtime play. There's been a lot of games where the score has ended up closer than expected. I watched the Thunder game the other night and against the Lakers, and they beat the snot out of them, which, I appreciate that. We needed that in our lives. But at the same time, games are a lot closer, and we get a lot of game winners. I mean, we all saw Devin Booker hit that game winner on Paul George, which it seems like Paul George is very infamous. Somebody had a video on Twitter, on the Twitterverse, of Paul George getting basically just dotted in his eye numerous times by game winners. And so we're seeing real competition, basically something we all were asking for when it came to bringing basketball back. Yeah, it's not perfect. Like I said, it's sloppy, but we're getting good basketball. So this is something we should thoroughly enjoy because we almost didn't have it. So it's looking like the bubble is definitely working. And so I'm looking at it like the Phoenix Suns, they're 4-0 right now in the bubble, which is pretty impressive. Got to give them props for that. They're showing that they're trying to make the playoffs, which now they are 2 games outside of the 8th seed, while the Memphis Grizzlies just lost Jared Jackson. And to me, that kind of hurts them as he is a key piece in their offense. Now, Ja Morant's got to do a lot more to hold that spot because they have Portland a game behind, and they have, like I mentioned, Phoenix moving into the 2 games behind them. So I don't know what Memphis has to do to win this out. They just got to make sure that they don't have Portland or Phoenix within 2 games. They've got to find a way to win. They're on a 5-game losing streak. So they're winless so far in the bubble. That's not good. And I'm really rooting for Memphis because I kind of don't want Portland in. I mean, no shade to them, but I'm the Lillard whining piece of wanting more games and all of that just didn't sit right with me. So I think I'm ready for them to be pulled out. But some players are showing out and others are kind of just barely being there. Like the Lakers right now look really, really sloppy. I was talking to a buddy and he kind of made mention that he wonders if the Lakers are purposely not performing to kind of keep the footage or film of them down of what they're playing. I mean, that could be a tactic that they're trying, but to me, I think the biggest piece for them is they just don't have no chemistry right now. They're just not. I mean, they're weaving in multiple guys. You have Dion Waiters, and you have J.R. Smith that you have to weave into to perform, especially since Rondo is down. It's Caruso, Waiters, and J.R. Smith that have to find a mesh because Caruso is not the starting point guard, but he plays a lot with those 2 guys. So I feel like their chemistry is just off. And I think they'll get there. I mean, they did clinch the number 1 seed in the West, which I honestly don't know what that means right now. Now we look back on it, it's like, what does that really mean? They get to stay in their same great hotel or something? I don't know. But and Milwaukee today just clinched the 1 seed in the East, so I guess that just guarantees they're the number 1 seed. It doesn't really mean much in a big bubble because everybody's playing in the same places, unless they get to choose what court they play on. Now, if they get to choose what court they play on based upon their times, that may be a key thing, especially if they have a fondness for a particular one since they're playing at 3 courts. That might be what it is. But I don't know. I don't get what it matters in the seating besides, I guess, matching up with particular teams. But I don't think LA wants to see Portland. I don't think that's a team they want to see in the playoffs. I think Lillard and them could give them work. It feels like Portland has a lot more chemistry in comparison to a lot of the other teams as well. So I don't know if that's something that that's not something I would want to happen if I was the Lakers. I wouldn't want to play Portland. I want to play Memphis. I think Memphis, they could sweep. I think Portland will take it to 6. They should be better than what they are. So that, to me, isn't a matchup you want day 1. And then you got Washington over here who's lost all their games in the bubble. They're a 4-game losing streak, and now they're actually their record is worse than the Hornets. So technically they're eliminated from the playoffs. Kinda, but they're still, of course, still in there because they're in the bubble. So, but it doesn't look like they're going to make the playoffs. So I guess we probably should be looking at them like, hey, you guys are basically done. So we'll see what happens. But overall, the basketballs, like I said, it's what we've all been begging for. So overall, everyone enjoy what you're seeing right now, because there's no real complaint that you can have about all these close games starting at 11 o'clock and working throughout the day. So since we're all basically working from home anyway, those that are at home doing the remote work, you can turn the TV on and you can watch game after game, or at least have it in the background as background noise while you're doing your hustle. Or even at some jobs, if you're the only one there and you can turn on TV, turn on a tablet or phone, you can sit there and stream and enjoy it. So I'd say enjoy what's going on. But yeah, let's see what happens next. The families are supposed to be coming around the first round of the playoffs, and they have a whole protocol for them. And I'll talk about that. We'll talk about that probably Monday with Jimmy. I think it's an interesting conversation to have, because I'm kind of curious to what it's going to look like, especially since the families and the other people, meaning like girlfriends and stuff, are going to be in two separate buildings. I'm wondering exactly how they're going to work all of that out. There was a couple of jokes made about it. We'll talk about it on the next go around.